All right, I'm really excited today because I've got some great insights to share with you. I have been teaching for almost 30 years. I mean, a long, long time. And even before that, spent a lot of time looking at golf swings, trying to make my swing better, studying videos of the greats. And I really just feel like I've got some new insights to something that'll really help you. If your swing feels out of sync, out of rhythm, you seem like you're kind of arm wrestling the club around to get it to hit the golf ball. This is the missing ingredient, okay? It's forearm rotation, okay? And I know you guys have heard of forearm rotation before, but I'm gonna explain it to you in a way today that's gonna totally give you an epiphany to how to get some more flow, some more rhythm into your golf swing, to where we can kind of get the club moving effortlessly with our body, rather than just fighting it around in our backswing and in our downswing. Okay, so when you talk about forearm rotation, imagine I'm driving my car, right? And I'm making a right turn or I'm making a left turn. Because our hands are attached, right, our forearms tend to rotate with each other, right? We can't really do it independently so much, right? So backswing, downswing, right turn, left turn. And here's the big key, is the timing and duration of your forearm rotation is what really makes the difference between having an elite golf swing or a really choppy, jerky golf swing. Okay, I've got hack motion running right here. This purple line, this is just a graph that's tracking my forearm rotation, you know, through this sensor on my wrist as I go back and as I come through. So it's showing me when I'm rotating it the fastest, and when it starts to change directions. Okay, so the dotted line here, right, if you're just kind of taking a look at this graph, this is the address position as my forearm rotation starts. Then it goes to the top of backswing and then over to impact. This dotted line is Mr. Tiger Woods' forearm rotation with a 7-iron. So if you watch, if I just take a practice swing real quick, it'll record it. You can see that ours are fairly similar. There's a little differences here or there, but for the most part, they're pretty similar, right? I'm not quite as good as him, obviously. You notice in the beginning, we don't start to rotate our forearms very quickly. It starts more often at about the halfway back position. And then at this point in transition, it starts to change directions into the downswing, okay? So when we look at bad golfers, ones that typically will take the club inside and come over the top in some fashion, we see that it starts too quickly. It drops down below Tiger's much too fast, and then it starts going into this leftward rotation too early in the downswing. Okay, so you could see like, wow, okay, that's fairly different, and you obviously can see by that swing, did not look good, right? So that's when we really start to fight the momentum of the golf club. What I like to have my students do is, this is actually made for putting, this little kind of dual-handed grip, but I like to have them swing it, okay? Because you really get a sense of that steering wheel feeling of what exactly are my forearms doing. I've got a little plane guide here just to help us also. So watch how I get the club on plane, because we all know like a good swing is on plane, roughly, right? It has a planar fashion to it. So in the very beginning here, like what we see with Tiger's graph, it's just a one-piece movement, right? With my shoulders and hips, just pushing the club back. You notice how my forearms are really rotating hardly at all. If there's any rotation of what this graph is picking up, it's because my body's moving. But I'm not doing anything independent here by turning this, okay? So here's our classic one-piece takeaway to my right thigh. Now here's the big golden piece. From this position here, I start to very quickly, I call it switch my forearms. So I'm going from my right arm on top, my left arm on bottom. I'm switching them very quickly, and I continue that even into transition. So it goes one piece to here, switch, transition, right? There's so many other things going on out there with other players to where they're going like this to start. That's one of the most common ones. As soon as my forearms, or I turn the steering wheel this hard to the right, there's only one thing that I can do from here. I've got to start to lift and pitch the shaft this way in the downswing, and this is where we get this kind of lightning bolt coming down with the club just coming straight down at my feet, right? And then we stand up, we do a lot of other things from there. You'll notice there's certain players, you know, like a Jim Furyk or a Matthew Wolff, they do it differently. They don't rotate their forearms hardly at all until they transition and come down. Now that pattern works, right? Last time I checked, you know, Furyk's 15th all time, Matthew Wolff almost won the US Open. Great players. Okay, the ones that do not work, the ones that I see so often on our lesson tees, are the ones where people just start to do this very quickly. For a couple reasons. Sometimes they're trying to keep their right arm in. They try to keep it in on their backswing. But now their forearms are so rotated this way, they have nowhere else to go coming down but to rotate back the other way. As soon as you take a muscle and you stretch it to its extreme, it's only going to go back the other way. So it's very important in your backswing that you do not rotate your forearms too quickly. Okay? What also happens here, I'm not rotating my forearms, I'm just pushing it back. You notice how my shoulders have some inclination. This gives me room and time for my forearms to go this way on the downswing, for them to be able to go from this position to this position. That allows me to use the ground better, to flex into the downswing, all the things that I want. So many people are doing this in the downswing, and when the club and the center of mass start to go like this with their forearm rotation, their hips, their shoulders, everything starts to really overtake on the downswing, right? Causing them to have balance problems, causing to have problems controlling the momentum and the direction that the club is moving. So what I want you to do, you know, and I've got some, you know, some really nice images here. If you look at Ben Hogan, he's creating an on-plane motion, but he's doing it with a very athletic, quick change of directions. So you see where my forearms are going from here, like no rotation, switch them real quickly as I transition. Now that's a small golf swing, but it'd be very effective, right? It would hit it very far. Think of like Jon Rahm's golf swing. We can see him doing that in his golf swing, right? We do not see anything to where this happens first. Hey, it's your coach Zach Allen here, and when it comes to the golf swing, I've seen and tried it all. But nothing is proven as effective as the concept I'm about to share with you now. It is the single most powerful piece of golfing advice I've ever come across. In fact, I would go so far as to call it a magic move. Since I don't have the time in this short video, I've put together a 3-part web class where I teach you exactly how to put it to use in your game. Nothing held back. I call it my Magic Move training series, and you can get the entire thing free of charge by clicking the link in the description below. You won't find these videos anywhere else, so go ahead, click the link right now, and I'll send you the first session right away. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to that lesson. So what I would try and do, okay, as you kind of start to take these feelings out onto the range and some of these visualizations, when you create this on-plane motion, we're not doing it like this. You see my forearms turning the club on plane and going like that? That's not athletic. We want to do it more athletically to where, okay, I'm on plane with this one-piece takeaway. I have no forearm rotation to here. Right? I almost feel like my right arm and my right shoulder are kind of blocking that forearm rotation. And then very quickly, switch and go. So I'll have my students hit balls like this. It's a very common drill that Jon Rahm does a lot.
There was also a drill we used to make. He loved having me like feel like I was taking the club here. Right. Right? And then swing as hard as I could, so it would be something like this.
Part of where he said he learned how to use his lower body and he gained some of his power. He takes the club back to just about here, no forearm rotation, nothing. And then from here, you're going to quickly transition and hit it rough, you know, about as hard as you can. So that's really training and teaching me to be able to switch my forearms athletically. So I'm going from this position here, quick switch, use the ground. Totally different than when I've got the club like this and doing this in transition. I see students that are doing it with the cupping of the lead wrist as I get to the top. I can see them doing it with the trail elbow starting to push out and internally rotate. I can see them doing it with their right hip as they come out. It's all some version of improper use of the forearms. So take that feel out next time. I like to do a lot of swings with my students to where we freeze at this halfway back position before we actually go into hitting it. And you can see that creates a totally on-plane motion, even though my forearms feel like they're doing something athletically very different, right? So freeze it here, back and hit it. And that really feels like I've got some power to go get this club and to get it in and with me and I can go get the ground at the same time before I blast on through the golf ball. Right, but I'm excited because it's really helping a lot of my students getting their forearms to rotate correctly, and I know it'll help you. So if you feel like some of these tips are really important to you and you want to learn a little bit more about how to shallow the golf club, I've got a lot of different videos, but this one in particular should definitely give you a little more insight as to why it's so important to have the club going this way in transition. So go check it out. I hope it helps you.